It's time I share my truth, my whole truth, and nothing but my truth. So help me, Father, Mother, God. Get your treats and your seats. Let the show begin. This is Sprout from the Darkness. Here we are light and shadow workers, spiritual engineers, rainbow warriors, merging the knowledge of spirituality, mysticism, psychology, neuroscience, and philosophy to discuss topics and ideas that the greatest minds have pondered upon, yet which have also confused and divided so many, creating imbalances in us, the world, cosmos, and other realms. This created a disconnect from spirit and our soul's purpose. Unaddressed trauma and toxic environments cause our soul, psyche, to fragment, stunt our growth and development, which keep our innate potential dormant. It's an honor to share our spiritual recovery toolbox and testimonies with you. Delve into the self-exploration and elevation journey and share our gypsy jewels that can be the gems to help all uncover real solutions necessary to calm the raging storms of life and within so many of the masses that are overwhelmed by. Let us always remember that each has the one within whom can walk on water and command the wind to be silent and sea to quiet down. As a disclaimer, this content is for educational and entertainment purposes. The representations and events depicted in this video may not necessarily align with the views of the channel or its affiliates. Our depictions of characters in our story are based on personal experience, meaning based on opinion, belief, or statements derived from one's own lived experiences and observations. Essentially saying, this is what I have seen or gone through myself. A living toolbox of testimonies to grow the garden of our minds and glow that shine in our spirits. Wilderness is the preparation ground for purpose. Why? Without the wilderness, there would be no cross. Without the cross, there would be no resurrection. And without the resurrection, there would be no victory. From victim to victor, from queen to king goddess, I am that I am. As promised in our last episode, listen and partake in discussion of a college assignment written this past fall semester. Delve into deeper discussion as we explore the tools and collect the gems acquired from those treasure hunt excursions. On today's episode of Woke Beauties Book Club, we'll discuss the book read as a requisite for the Human Services Practicum class. The book explored is What Happened to You? Conversations on Trauma, Resilience, and Healing by Dr. Bruce D. Perry and Oprah Winfrey. This reflection is regarding Chapter 3, How We Were Loved. This chapter brought up so much for us, from our own childhood, reflecting on our children's childhoods, and the clients that Jackie used to work with at the YWCA of Western Massachusetts. In previous employment roles such as domestic violence shelter advocate, human trafficking support specialist, and domestic violence sexual assault counselor. To be transparent, this chapter surfaced many emotions for her and pulled on the heartstrings. Instantly from the first page of this chapter, relating to the mother Gloria, who lost custody of her child to CPS, Child Protective Services, due to her own traumatic upbringing and experiences and being removed from her family also. We remember what it feels like to be, as the book mentions Gloria was, misunderstood by everyone. Her therapists, foster caretakers, caseworkers, judges, teachers, due to awareness of the impact of trauma not being very high. There have been, quote, angels that Jackie also encountered, just as Mama P realized Gloria was, a young, unloved girl in a woman's body. There are so many more people than we are aware who suffer from arrested development, which is when trauma causes arrested or stunted psychological development, where someone's emotional response is frozen at the age they experienced trauma. One important part of their story was when Mama P mentioned, "You will not make her a better parent by punishing or shaming her. If we want her to be a more loving parent, we need to be more loving to her." Another one is when Dr. Perry wrote, "Rather than undermine a mother doing her best she could, we kept showing them love and how to love." These two statements are crucial. No one can be shamed into change, only loved into evolution. Comment if you can relate or know of any who have been misguided by caretakers due to their elders' own lack of knowledge. Remember, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Only then for those little broken souls to be shuffled through a corrupted system, which is programmed to vilify the sick and suffering, ultimately just condemning an unloved child in a grown-up body, never teaching them healthy ways to live, never showing them the love the little shining stars needed to thrive, yet were deprived of. Therefore, how could that dear one ever learn how to love, or be the safe place they never had to their own seeds, when all they were raised in was toxicity? Children Learn What They Live is a book by Dorothy Nolt and Rachel Harris. Well, rather, this only tightens the chains that stifled them and their bloodline in what's called bondage of self, tormented in a vicious, cyclical loop. Back to our book club reflections. The section in chapter 3 of the book, How We Were Loved, about a boy named Jesse, made Weeping Gypsy cry and reminded us of a client Jackie worked with while a sex trafficking specialist at the YWCA. She had a history of sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, and sex trafficking, and her mother and or family are the ones who exposed her to prostitution. It is horrible that children like Jesse are being set up to fail due to being born into an environment of chaos, confusion, violence, or disruption with no normalcy or regularity. Then these children are relocated to live with strangers and potentially have to suffer a worse hell than what they were just rescued from. It's truly sad that it often leads to individuals asking, "Why does God hate me?" leaving them to feel even more alone and abandoned in life. Being a psychology major with a passion for neuroscience, we are fascinated with how this book expounds in depth the process of the brain and trauma. It is interesting that despite Jesse being unconscious during his coma, when Dr. Perry put his biological and foster father's unwashed clothing under his nose, his body had notable physiological responses of distress and arousal responses due to a set of trauma-related memories. Gratefully, Jesse recovered and was able to demonstrate the remarkable malleability of the brain and the power of hope. All over the world, we are bombarded by elite pedophilia claims and criminal charges filed on well-known individuals, while more than we could even fathom goes swept under the proverbial rug. A quote from Rumi, "When someone beats a rug, the blows are not against the rug, but against the dust in it." Survivors are courageously sharing their stories regarding being exposed to a history of sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, and or sex trafficking. Chaos becomes a normalcy, and what would be considered disturbing to others is a regular part of everyday life to these warrior spirits, born into a war they don't remember enlisting into, searching for salvation while slowly adjusting to suffering a worse hell than what they just escaped from, eventually creating an emptiness so vast within that all they can ask is, "Why does God hate me?" never knowing this couldn't be further. from the truth. Comment below your reflection discussions, personal perspectives and point of views, and or respectful opinions. Back to our book club reflections. We couldn't agree more when Oprah mentioned this is why we need trauma informed systems and why we need to move away from asking what is wrong with you to what happened to you. As stated on page 92, children's stress response systems adapt and become sensitized. It's like living with a minefield within your nervous system. At any moment, daily tasks and interactions can trigger explosive or impulsive reactions. We can use this knowledge by being mindful of the fact that what is adaptive for children living in chaotic, violent, trauma permeated environments becomes maladaptive in other environments, especially school. Which makes us think of a little boy who had disclosed abuse during Jackie's internship experience that we had reported, and the brief history of his home experiences disclosed by the director at the time of the incident when discussing it with her. Hypervigilance refers to an excessive state of alertness and heightened awareness of potential threats or dangers, and is often misdiagnosed as ADHD. And just like in Jackie's case as a child, resistance and defiance of alarm and fear are labeled with oppositional defiant disorder. This then creates a chain reaction of more punishment and stigmatization, either by the parents, school, and or legal systems, then affecting their success and employment, their interpersonal relationships. Although thankfully for neuroplasticity and amazing angels from 2019 to 2021, looking back in hindsight, our past feels like a nightmare we've been liberated from. We can always remember to do our best, to treat everyone we encounter with patience, kindness, and encouraging support that Jesse, Jackie, our children, and many other individuals have experienced is the missing key when living with a heightened nervous system. Comment if you agree this is why we need trauma-informed systems. As mentioned briefly in our last video regarding what we view as abuse of power by Jackie's federal probation officer of Springfield, Massachusetts, and the negligence that arises due to a shortage of this trauma-informed care and lack of knowledge in mental health care systems, which these establishments are entrusted to provide, since they are supposed to protect and assist the community population. Correct? However, so many of whom have endured disparities feel otherwise, something Jackie has too often had the displeasure of experiencing. May 2024 be the last year we carry the cross of oppression, mental and spiritual slavery. They can no longer put a stop to our truth. We end our God-given rights being dismissed, discarded, and disregarded. No more will our tormentors discount and invalidate our feelings. If you can resonate to what it feels like surviving in a state of hypervigilance, overwhelmed, drowning due to emotional dysregulation, as the body's trauma responses to being loosed of our shine before we are even able to defend or protect ourselves, adapting to survival techniques that in turn deem us unfit to societal standards and conditionings, dooming us to be misdiagnosed and misunderstood, labeled as a habitual offender, also known as a repeat offender or career criminal, and is someone who has been convicted of multiple crimes and is considered a danger to society. When again, let's be mindful of the fact that due to arrested development, these are hurting, unloved children of Father, Mother, God in grown-up bodies. Well, beloveds, rest assured, those naughty nannies' names are in the book of judgment, and with Anubis, their hearts weighed against the feather, on the scale of Ma'at, justice and balance will prevail. Is anyone else as fascinated with the amazing, powerful results that curate from psycho-spiritual therapy utilizing neuroplasticity? Which means our innate ability to utilize spiritual practices within therapy modalities to promote positive changes in the brain by harnessing its ability to adapt and rewire itself, thus leading to deeper healing and personal growth. Sproutlings, no matter the storm of life that attempts to uproot us, have faith with roots planted firmly in the divine spirit. With sincere hearts, hold fast in the gnosis of the amazing angels whose presence crosses our paths, often when we least expect it, yet usually when we need it the most, always being observed by the Almighty's all-seeing eye. Also on the back of the American dollar bill, which is a symbol representing God's watchful eye over humanity. Scripture on entertaining angels is Hebrews 13:2, which says, "Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware." Looking back as a final reflection for this episode's chapter, our past may feel like a nightmare we've finally escaped, while some are still trapped in it. Yet it's a powerful reminder to always do our best and treat others with the same patience and support we'd want for ourselves. Living by the timeless principle, treat others as you want to be treated, a fundamental principle in Omnism, often referred to as the Golden Rule, which essentially means to act towards others with the same kindness, respect, and consideration that you would want to receive yourself. Well, because of the law of cause and effect, you will end up receiving exactly what you put out. So remember to embody the idea of universal empathy and ethical behavior across all beliefs and backgrounds, aligning with the core of Omnism to find common ground and unity among all, regardless the diverse paths. If you have any questions, comment them below. Or if you can relate, share a testimony. We respectfully ask for replies to be considerate and with a unity-based mindset. Any disrespectful or degrading remarks will be deleted and the account owner blocked and or banned. Remember, dear ones, we each have a spark within us, our inner flame that is the match that lights a fire upon the world. Unfortunately, we have been diminished and hidden for far too long. That is no more. Now, let's ignite one another, together ablaze, forging the way to the world to come, the new earth, the messianic age, millennial kingdom of the Christos age of enlightenment. As one, we will plant new seeds, and all will sprout from darkness. Similar to plants' mycelium process, which is often likened to collective consciousness due to its intricate network structure, where individual filaments connect and communicate with each other, allowing the entire network to respond to environmental changes as a unified entity. Similar to how a collective consciousness might operate across a group of individuals. In agricultural terms, this concept is sometimes referred to as a fungal mind or wood wide web. In our one life concept, it is sometimes referred to as the universal monadic mind or world wide web. Web weavers hand in hand with the great I am, by all that is, everything that was, and the great things soon to come. Holy, 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 to the righteous one, Adonai.